So, Prof, back to let's trace your journey through the university. When you came in, there was a different approach to the semester. It wasn't a semester. And then you came in with a different approach and then migrated us onto that. And then to do with the feeding too. At that time, feeding was the cost of the university. But there was a reason why it was, yes. If you could please enlighten us on all that.
Yes. When I arrived, we were following the British system, which was that they had what they called a sessional system. There were 3 terms starting in October, ending more or less in June. And you have first term ends close to December, then second term January to about March, and then the third term from end of March to end of sometime in June. What we noticed was that students were very studious during the first and third terms. But during the middle term, that is when we had most of the problems from students. They were striking, going on strike. And the usual issue for going on strike was food issues. And so when Professor Bamfo Kwachi became Vice Chancellor, and I was his first pro-Vice Chancellor, and he had been to America and had seen the semester system, we decided that we could solve a number of the problems at the university, particularly the strikes on which they were going, if we introduced this semester system. So in the semester system, we had only 2 semesters. And at the end of each semester, there will be examinations which will count towards the quality of your degree. So it meant that the students would be busy throughout the year. There was no middle term where they could relax and then go on strike for various flimsy reasons. So this is what we did. And when I joined, we found that we had the sessional system. It is the British system. And as a former colonial subject, we did everything according to the British way initially. And so we also had a sessional system of 3 terms. And the semester system is the American system. And it was under that I trained. I did my master's and doctoral work, and I did the sessional one, my bachelor's. And one thing we noticed was that under the sessional system, we had 3 terms. The students were introduced to a new class during the first term, so they were very serious. The third term was the term for the examination on everything they have studied from October. So they were very serious and they were studying very seriously. But during the second term, when they had gotten used to the new class in which they were, and there were no sessional exams, then we noticed that that's when the strikes that students went on were happening. We felt that one way we could reduce the strikes was to introduce the semester system. Under the semester system, you do approximately four months or so, and then there's a break. And we have 2 of them. Each semester is, you are examined at the end of each semester, and your performance there counts towards the quality of your degree. So you'll be busy all the time, and you won't have time.
Any time to strike.
Exactly. So that was the thinking behind what we were doing. There were some staff members, particularly those who were trained in Britain, who were opposed to it. And but we were able to get over their objections. When I say we, Bamfo Kwachi and I got over the objections when we decided to introduce the system 1 year at a time. So the agreement was that during the time of implementation, it would be introduced only for first-year students who will be admitted on the understanding that they come in to follow the semester system. So if you are, you come. And then the rest of the university will be on the sessional system. The following year, we had 2 streams of students, first and second year, who were on the semester system, third year, 3, and then fourth year, the whole university was on the semester system. The university at that time, as I believe probably still is, was said that degrees were run over 4-year periods. So by the end of 4 years, everybody was on semester system. And interestingly, some other tertiary institutions in Ghana inquired about our system and adopted it. Yes.
So, Prof, does it mean that this semester system that you introduced, you and Prof. Bampopachi introduced, and you introduced 1 year at a time, was that 1 year supposed to be a trial moment kind of to win those who were against it over?
No, it wasn't. The idea was this, that students who were already in the university were admitted on the understanding that they will follow the sessional system. And we were afraid that the university could be sued, that we have people on false
gone
pretense.
Against your own, yes.
If you are already in the system, you follow the sessional
Continue
system.
with the sessional system.
Continue with that. And then new students will be told that when you enter, you'll be following a semester system.
All right.
That's why it was introduced gradually. And at the end of 4 years, everybody...
The sessional system was phased out.
That was what it was. It was phased out. And the system was in operation.
And grounded.
That's what it did, yes. It meant more work for the staff because, it's easier to teach, but it's more difficult to grade when there are so many students. In our time, there weren't that many students. For instance, I was teaching all first-year students, and there weren't that many in the early days. But today, this is not the same.
It's not.
So,
and then there was also the issue of the strikes to do with the food, the feeding, and why. If you could tell us a bit about that.
Yes, what we saw was that the strike was against the university for giving the students poor food. So we convinced the domestic business at the time that we will give the dining kitchen equipment to them, more or less free, to cook and sell, use their own money. If they needed loans, we will give them initial loans to buy food, cook and sell to the students. Their concern was how would we know how much to cook? And our response was, go to the junction, Ija Junction, and ask the people who sell things there, how do they know how much to cook? It's all by trial and error. So you've got to start making some assumptions, and then you adjust them in the light of experience. That's how life is in general. And they seem to be working. But I think that did not completely stop strikes.
No, it hasn't. I was going to ask that during the time you were here, were strikes completely done? Because I know that strikes have been ongoing once in a while. But
yes,
I think
strikes were not completely done. And I remember that there was a long-standing strike, and they were using the term "aluta continua."
I heard that.
And I was away for about a year. When I came back, the university was still on strike. And so when I received the invitation from the World Bank to join them, and the university was on strike, I said, okay, I promised the bank that I'll go for just 1 year, or I think 2 years. And then I ended up staying with them for 11 years over there. Yes. So the strikes, we were wrong about our assumptions about the strike. They found some other issues for strikes.
Strike on within the semester period.
Even during the semester period,
yes. Yes, but it was still a very brilliant idea, considering that students were free during a certain period and wouldn't do so much. So I guess the semester kind of worked for us and was adopted by other people as well. So, Prof, you served us in 3 categories at a time. You served as Pro VC, you served as Dean, and you served as Director of Students. At the time, please, what was it called?
Well, I served as Head of Civil Engineering Department.
Okay,
and then it was in that capacity that I was invited to serve as Pro Vice Chancellor. So I did not become a Dean, unlike Professor Bampopachi, who was a Dean before he became Vice Chancellor. I became Pro Vice Chancellor right from being the Head of Civil Engineering. So I was serving initially both as Head of Civil Engineering and as Pro Vice Chancellor. And then the Vice Chancellor wanted to introduce a new division at the administration level, that is the Directorate for Academic and Student Affairs. And they were having problems recruiting somebody for that position. So he asked me to help by taking on that position. So what I did was that I spent my mornings on the academic side and my afternoons on work for the Directorate of Academic and Student Affairs. And I had 3 assistant registrars working with me. One of them became Mamponhe, who unfortunately passed away not too long ago.
Oh, but that's really sad. May his soul rest in peace. So, Prof, what was the mandate or what was the reason for the establishment of the Directorate of Academic and Student Affairs when you brought it up at first? Yes.
Well, it wasn't I that brought it up. I think it was Banfukwachi who wanted it. We had a similar setup at Legon, and it helped to separate get somebody who focused just on student affairs.
Okay.
And so they thought that we could do the same. And I ran it for a year before they could get a replacement. And I saw that, in fact, it was a good thing. You were in charge of admission of students. And if they had any problems, whether it's accommodation or even food, it was your responsibility. And it relieved the Vice Chancellor of
all those duties.
And the registrar could concentrate on academic things, and then the directorate could concentrate on student affairs. Yes.
So were you also tackling issues of how, like, the emotions, like how today did you have counselors and students? Yeah.
Yes, we had hall masters and people like that who served as counselors at the hall level.
Okay, so but not under the Directorate of Student Affairs?
No. The Directorate, we dealt mainly with things about the admission, the reports and things of that nature. But their welfare and all that was taken care of by the hall masters and tutors within the halls. And we found that one of the halls initially, when I was there, was actually admitting people to do sixth form. And they had freer time than the others, and they were the source of most of the troubles we were having in my time because they had too much time at their disposal. So the thing to do was to keep them busy.
Yeah, Prof, I think you believe in that saying that the devil finds work for the idle hands. You don't like when people are idle. Okay, all right. You believe in people keeping busy all the time. Prof, to move on. Reading and having our discussion previously to this, we also discussed we talked about the issue of, is it called civil engineering design?
Yes.
I'm trying to remember. And the whole idea, if you could share with us, was that what took a whole year for students to kind of get themselves? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You could please speak more to it.
In the Department of Engineering, we had different subjects: structures, hydraulics, sanitary engineering, a whole range, you see. And the idea was to have a course which would help them to integrate all this and see how you apply these different, apparently unrelated subjects in designing, engineering design, actually in practice. So what we did was to talk to Asaf Boakye and Partners, was one of the leading consulting engineering firms at that time. I don't know if that is still the case, but they cooperated with us. The idea is pick up an engineering thing which you have designed successfully and is being implemented. And then between you and the faculty, we will simplify the system and make it a one-year project. And then we get the students with different backgrounds working in teams. We have somebody in structures, somebody in hydraulics or fluid mechanics, sanitary engineering, and so on, soil mechanics, and so on and so forth. So we have that team. And then instead of being graded on individual basis, we grade you as a team. So everybody in the team will have the same grade performance. And we had some seminars given on the subject from time to time. As Boakye and Partners will send somebody to come and join us, and we will have ongoing seminars periodically. And then in the
Well,
end,
please,
yes,
yes,
we were
please.
talking about the civil engineering design course that I introduced.
Yeah.
It was to integrate the various subjects that they had been studying over the past 4 years, the past 3 years, and to see how you can pull them together in designing, making any design. For instance, if you design a bridge, it's not just the structures, but the soil mechanics, and then so on and so forth. So it was for them to see the connectivity between the different subjects
Between the things that they are doing, and then the importance of all the various. But this was just civil. It wasn't.
Not just civil. I was just in charge of civil. So I
Yeah.
for civil.
Yes.
That's why
So you were focused on civil. Yes. But in light of this, you asked the companies or the industry at that time as Afobache and associates to bring work and partners. Thank you. To bring work they have already done to students to redo, not having any idea that it's already been worked on. So just to veer off the totally even of the engineering aspect, do you think that something like this could and should be introduced at all levels in terms of all university degrees, not just engineering, English, French, the theater arts, all these wild kinds of degrees, and all the degrees that we do at the university level, there could be some level of practical aspect to it for a whole year for students as well, so that they can, I don't know if you understand what I mean, Prof, but you see, students tend to think that, yeah, I studied this, and then sometimes when they go out, they are wondering, how do I reconcile what it is I've learned in theory with? But what you introduced makes it easy for them to understand. And I think it's something that an approach that could be, taken up with almost all the other degrees as well. What do you think, Prof?
This is an interesting idea. I have not thought about it before, but you may know that in medicine, they do much the same thing. You see, they have the medical, when you learn the theory of various aspects of medicine, physiology, and biochemistry, and so on and so forth. And then you do clinicals where you work with doctors, hospital and all that. So they have a teaching hospital where they do that. My idea, which I had in mind for engineering, was actually to follow suit, do something similar to what the doctors were doing, and have a teaching civil engineering consulting firm, which is part of the university. And so this was meant to be a stepping stone towards that. Engineering.
So there was more you wanted to do apart from what you did.
Yes. And actually, there's another course I introduced at the request of the Vice Chancellor, that was geotechnical engineering. Before, the university have been trying to introduce mining engineering, but the expatriate mining engineering heads were opposing that. And I was asked to try to reintroduce it. And so I did not use the term of mining, I used the term of geotechnical engineering. And and they were very happy with it. They gave me on loan somebody called Professor Williams, who was working with them. And they even gave me they said they would pay for his salary if I would accept him to work on this new department. They will also give us equipment. You see. And the design of that course was like this. I said, we will let students, civil engineering and the geotechnical engineering students, all do first 2 years at the university. Then they could go into practice and work with any company, like mining companies or civil engineering companies, for a year and come back. And when they come back, they will then make up their minds whether they want to join civil engineering stream or mining engineering stream. But this was turned down at the university council level, at the academic board level, because they said it would make the course 5 years, when the decision was that all courses should be 4.
Oh, yes.
You see, so what the civil engineering course was an adaptation of this within the 4-year program. And what made it interesting was that at the end of it, we will have presentation by each group, and there will be a voting of the best group and marks will be assigned to each of the groups. And Asabuachi and partners will offer a prize for the winning team.
Okay.
And in addition, they will describe how they solved the same problem to the student. So it was an to them.
Wow.
This is what it was. One thing the students used to complain, though, when I was head, was that they felt they did too much mathematics. And they were sure that they wouldn't need all the mathematics when they were practicing. So I told them what my professor told me when I was doing my undergraduate work. I said, I wasn't there to make them engineers. I was there I knew they would want to become engineers later. They become engineers when they apply what they've learned at the university in engineering practice. You see. But my responsibility at that time was simply to train them how to define problems clearly. Because when a client comes to you, comes with a problem, what he wants you to do, and you have to tell him what is feasible and what is not feasible, and define the problem clearly for the client. So I want them to learn how to define a problem clearly and where to go to find answers to solving the problems they encounter. And in so doing, I want them to be able to think clearly. And mathematics was one of the subjects I knew which would help people to think clearly. So it wasn't as if they were going to use mathematics, but it was a tool for clear thinking, learning to think clearly.
And so even after they went through the 1 year procedure, they still felt they were doing a lot of mathematics?
Oh, the 1 year thing was just at the end. It was the 4th year. So 4 years, and you do 3 years. In your 4th year, one of the subjects was the civil engineering design subject.
But so, I'm just wondering, what was their usual feedback? Did they come to appreciate the mathematics?
Yes. Well, each time they went back seemingly convinced what I said, even though some of them said to their colleagues that they didn't quite understand what I was saying, but I seem to have convinced them at that time. Some of them said they couldn't even remember what I said, but I seem to have convinced them. So anyway.